As I like to say, yo, check it. Welcome back. Hey, it's been a pleasure. This is Kyle Yoder. That's me, known as Loving Dad. We are going to get into Facing Goliath, Awakening, this series, and I'm entitling it The Cure. And the why is, and it's serious, because I've been collecting my thoughts over this period and sharing with you what has happened to our culture, to our nation's identity that led to this chaos that we witnessed this summer. And then, mainly, like where we are as a nation, like we don't know. We have to go back and look at it. And we have to unravel this stronghold that is on us right now, that's pulling us to the left, to the right, but not coming together. And I identified it. It's progressivism. That's the name I'm using. Liberalism, progressivism, Democrat, socialist, communist, Marxist, whatever. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. And it seems like an impossible task to unravel this. It's been with us for 125 years, this restraint that's been pulling us away from the core of what the founders have given us in our Constitution. And remember this, we have the longest standing Constitution in world history that's still thriving and going. But we want it to stay and thrive some more. And we have to go and unravel. And listen, look, call me what you want. People say I'm a conservative. Fine. That's on you. That's your label. Truly, I believe in our founding fathers. That makes me, a constitutionalist? Whatever. I'm going to reclaim it. I'm a true liberal of the founding fathers, and I believe what they wrote. And I believe of the teachings that they had from Locke, Montesquieu, Blackstone, what a government should be for the people and by the people and run by the people, not the government. And contrast that with my beliefs in what the founders did, where I pull from Madison, Hamilton, Franklin, Paine, Washington, Randolph, to what the progressive founders are. You got to go back to Hegel, Marx, Dewey, Darwin, Margaret Sanger. Look at their political leaders. Wilson, Roosevelt, Du Bois, the progressive mind, and what they created. An administrative state, a select few of elites to level the lumps in the bread to where we are. And this is where we are. We have gone very far away from what the founders intend. And it happened. So what are we going to do about it? Because one thing that rings true, we deserve the government that we elect. And if we keep on electing foolishness and the structure of the way it is now, then we deserve it. But it's time to wake up. It's time to wake up. And this is a challenge, and I'm just going to point it out pointedly to one, Christians. It's time for us to speak up humbly, but also, the moral foundation of this country is in Christian influence. I'm using influence. I have the belief, but we need to influence our neighbors who may not. Because if any one of them goes by the golden rule, knows the 10 Commandments, they have it in them to understand that our founding is in the Christian biblical context of the Judeo-Christian beliefs, and that influence put this nation under God. And that needs to be reminded to everybody right now. But the struggle that we're going to have, really, is getting people to wake up and understand. So, like I said, we trace the damage. Now we have a question to a lot of people. And it really comes down to this. And this is going to be a tough struggle. And I learned this from my grandfather a long time ago. Are you willing to admit that you might be wrong? And then act on it. For too many times, people don't want to admit anything. I'm not wrong. And to a point where we're living in a country, from a Pew Research, that 73% of Americans say that people who disagree with them are immoral. That's where we are. This is where we are, and this is the political divide we have. And it's sad because we're in a time where people don't even want to have a public debate. Like, think about it. Am I the only one where family members don't want to talk to you, or friends, or think that you are so disagreeable by your political views that they can't talk to you to seek understanding? Or when you hit them with some hard facts and truths, they just deny it and get frustrated. Then a name calling happens. That's where we are. So there's something that I, always go by. And again, the wisdom of the Bible, this is from Proverbs, is from chapter 26, verses 11 through 12. Listen, as a dog returns to its vomit, so a fool repeats its folly. Do you see a man wise in his own eyes? There is more hope for a fool than for him. Hey, it's our pride that needs to be fixed. And also the acceptance of the willingness to be wrong. So here we are. And with that, it's time for Christians to be that light and speak the truth. And then a step further, us men, we got to take our seat at the head of the table and lead. Basically, we need to take back the education of our children. And, it's tough. Hey, my son's in public school. I just had a nice conversation with his teacher, but I see everything is sprinkled with the social learning. It's the social equality learning. And it's kind of sad because, they want to teach about history, but it's sprinkled with the wrong this, the wrong that. America did wrong here, there, and there. And it's really, it's bad. It's bad. But that's what we have to fight against. And that's my responsibility to teach him, like, hey, this is what the country is about. Were there some wrongs? Yes. Were there some rights? Oh, yeah. Because, let's face it, America is that beacon on the hill. I'm sorry, we are. From our short time in history, we accomplished so much and uplift so many people out of poverty and showed the way. And it was all based on our core principles. But we're losing it. So there's ways that we can address this. And one is, I truly believe it's going to be the education of our children to get that back down. And we're living in an interesting time. And the truth of the matter is that I believe there's going to be a time where the school districts are going to be up against it, because with technology, there's going to be so many new ways of learning and creative ways too. Let's face it, a lot of people are homeschooling now. God bless you if you have the resources to do it. A lot of people are looking for different ways, pulling them out of the school system and going to more schools of their liking and private schools. Again, God bless you if you have the resources to do that. But the truth of the matter is, in our history, there have been those great awakenings that made people move spiritually to drive things. When we touched on it in this series, hey, during the colonial times, the first great awakening, the pastors in their pews speaking of the authority of God. We don't need a king, but everything that we have comes from God. And it's that connection, that oneness of the individual, that if you repent and give yourself to God, that you will seek salvation. Salvation is not given from a king. A king can't tell you how to read the Bible, how to be spiritual, how to live your lives. It's all under God. That turned into the American Revolution and then the foundation of our Constitution. And then it dives even deeper when it goes into the preaching of it and the moral fiber of this country against the anti-slavery movement, the abolitionists. They were preaching about, hey, the good and the bad, but they were focusing on the bad and saying it's not right. And it came from the Judeo-Christian values, from Christianity, understanding that the bondage of slavery was wrong. And then it went even further to where it even exploded in the Industrial Revolution, the awakening, saying, whoa, we see things, the plight of the industrial world, how the exploitation of people were happening. It was a great awakening. It did get hijacked by the social gospel. Then remember the nature of the people and the influence of progressivism and that thinking that exploded to a point where at that time it led to it. Let's check mark on that. And then it goes even to the fourth great awakening that we lived through, Generation X. We were born into it. You had the hippie revolution, all that stuff, drugs, but from that again, a spiritual awakening happened where your Jesus freaks came out of it. People were turning to God and going away from their carnal sin, the need of seeking drugs for this high enlightenment and everything, to where we are, which even led to the evangelists waking up and saying we want to go in a different direction, which led to the Reagan Revolution. So here we are today, and what's happening? Hey, let's face it. You have to look at the context of, let's just, in a snapshot, 2016 election, that didn't happen by mistake. People said we had enough. Let me get Trump. Then you look at 2020. Okay, it happened. They still got to explain the 14 million votes that showed up for Biden and did not show up to Kamala. So 2024, again, here. As a country, we're saying, we got to slow down the pendulum and this and that. But the divide is real. So, if we, as men, Christian men, step up and educate our children, Christian women, step up with that proudly and say these are the morals that we have to show our neighbors what it's to be, and educate them on the biblical principles, we have a shot. But then that's not going to be enough. We are going to have to dive deep in understanding of what our founding fathers set up. And it comes down to the talk of a democracy and a constitutional republic. Most people that hear me, that will wake up this morning with the sun shining, believe that we are a country that is founded on democracy. Check yourself. Our founding fathers understood what a true democracy is. It's mob rule. We are founded on a constitutional republic. We have checks and balances. We have institutions that they set up to control the curb of man's eternal desire to gain power. And they feared that if you give people a government and they forget the principles that we are the people who set up this government should be run by us, not by the politicians that run it or administrative state, it comes down to who We are. So remember, we can't be wise in our own eyes, but it really goes down to what Adams wrote, and we have to remind ourselves. I'm like a broken record with this. The Constitution was formed and founded for a moral, biblical people. And the reason why you say it and it holds true is, if you don't have morals, if you don't have principles, then what's it for? Like free speech in itself is such a huge responsibility. You just can't spew hate. You can, but where does that conversation lead to? It's like your mind is going to be fixated on the hate that you're spewing. You don't even believe that you're spewing hate. But if you have some moral grounding and you understand what's going on, you can move it. So, to get to the point and the crux of the matter, how can we fix these things? This is really a discussion of understanding the tools that our founding fathers have to correct things. And the biggest mistake that happened to our country that's leading us to where we are today is the 17th Amendment of our Constitution. What that did was, under the progressive view, they argued that they wanted more democracy. Remember, democracy, true, is mob rule. But what they were arguing was, we want more people to get involved, and saying that their vote should select a senator. Now, federalism is an arrangement between a centralized government and the states. Before our Constitution, we were the Confederation of States, and each state was afraid that they'll be under the control of a federal centralized government. So they made an agreement. So, hey, one of the checks and balances was this. In Congress, we have the House, which is for the people, meaning the congressmen I'm speaking to. They get elected every 2 years. The senators get elected, and they have serve a term for 6. The people vote for their representatives. It's a closer relationship. It's their emotions that get expressed to the House of Representatives, their congressmen, through that voice. So that's 2 years. Get it? They're the closest to us. We could speak to them directly. This is what we want. But then the second partner in that House, that Congress, was the senators. They are to speak for the states. The states had a voice with the senators. But what the 17th Amendment did, it took that away and gave it to the people, where our senators got a popular vote. So what happened? The states really lost their voice. And that's the truth. My position and a cure and a checkmate to the progressive mindset is to get these senators to answer to the state. And before 1913, that's the way it was. But after that, who do the senators answer to? Think about it. They answer to the donors. They answer to the lobbyists. They do not answer to the state. They become self-interested and looking to keep their power, which is why we have senators in their positions for life. The average tenure before this amendment was 5 years. And the reason why is because the state legislators of the state would say, yo, this cat's not doing his job. Get him out. We could vote somebody else in. Now the average is, 12.4 years, meaning they do 2 terms, and it's climbing and climbing and climbing. That's why we have these career politicians. And the truth is, if you have an issue with the senator, the states could handle it quickly. Now you can't. The people voted for them. They're in for 6 years. But who do they answer to? It's the donor class. It's not even the people. They go back, they listen to them, but what are you going to do to me? Nothing. And then it really comes to this. After the 17th Amendment, our budget, our federal budget was around 2 to 3% of our GDP. Let's be honest, afterwards it's exploded to 25 to 36%. It's climbing. We are out of control. These people are not doing their jobs and passing bills or really creating a true hardcore budget. We're always kicking the can down the road. Why? Because the senators are not answering to the states. The states need to step up. We need to give them back their power. The states will say, yo, bro, chill. Choke the money supply. And the truth of the matter is, people don't even know. There was 45 recalls before 1913 of senators. And think about it. And afterwards, none. We need accountability. And the state legislators, who do they answer to? Us, the people of those precincts who elected them. And that's going to be tough because, let's be honest, as a nation, we're lazy. We're not involved. We don't understand and read. But the answer is there, and it really comes down to we could do it with Article 5 of the Constitution. Article 5 of the Constitution. That's going to be our answer. And way back when the federal government really understood what was going on there. It was, the Constitution gives two ways to change the amendment of Article 5. The Congress could do it, or the states can do it. And funny little thing, the states back in 1912 and 1913, they rose up, which quickly made the Congress create the 17th Amendment. Progressivism at that time was the thing. People were drunk under the illusion of the scientific mindset that, we could create a utopian if, the government had more power. It was preached, it was heavily influenced, and here we are. It's a mess. And right now, we need to fix it. And the answer is Article 5, repeal the 17th Amendment. So how do you do it? Again, this is a little history lesson. This is about the Constitution. 1, Congress proposes. You have 2/3 of the states, that's 34, can force a convention of the state, propose amendments themselves, and 3/4, that's 38, ratify it. The state route has been used successfully twice. I mentioned 1913, where the force of it pushed the Congress to act on it and create the 17th Amendment. And in 1960s, the reapportment crisis, 33 states went short. They applied to reverse one man, one vote in Congress. Then they backed down. It needs to be used, because the truth is, again, to beat a dead horse. Before 1913, senators were appointed by state legislators. The state had a voice in our federal government. They really don't now. Meaning the senators need to be instructed by the states on how to act, not their donors, not the lobbyists. The senators could be recalled by midterms. Think about it. Their seat could be left vacant as a punishment. And the truth of the matter is, our federal spending will be in check. Because who are they serving? Right now, our senators are serving the machine of the bureaucrats in our government. And they keep on pushing money and money and money in this Leviathan. We need to fix it. Again, the tenure of these senators used to be 5, 6, one term, but now it's going on forever. And there's no way to force resignations unless the state had the power to say, you're not speaking to us, for us. You're not our ambassador. You're just doing your own thing. You're not even looking out for what the state needs to be done in our representation of this republic in the federal government. So what happens if you repeal the 17th Amendment overnight? 100 senators stop reading fundraising emails and start reading the bills. There's a concept. Because their real boss is the state. And they could be fired. And the thing is, and people don't even realize, 19 states have been moving in this direction. They need help. They need more. A convention of the states really needs to happen. They want to argue now a balanced budget. They want to argue for term limits. I don't want us to be lazy. I think that if we're more informed and more moral, we could handle that by electing proper people. So the movement has been quietly happening for the past decade. But it needs 15 more states to get going. And how's that going to happen unless we start speaking about it? And that's just one cure. Because progressivism is here. It's here. You can't deny it. I'm sorry. You got to look at what's happening. One, our schools. It's the Dewey model. They are breeding and teaching how to be one-minded and to be good little workers in that structure. And then our higher education is overbloated, and they're not even educating properly, and the debt is just both federally and for student loans. It's out of control because we have this one mindset. Spiritually, people, again, Christians, let's take the head seat of the table and speak. We have to face issues and say, no, this is wrong. It is. Case in point, in our schools, I'm sorry. I hate saying because there are some truths that are out there. Again, socially, men do not need to be in women's sports. I can't believe that we have this conversation. I can't believe that some school districts are allowing boys to compete against girls and take away their honor and their hard work and sweat. It just goes against nature's law. It's different. Physically, we are more powerful as men. When it comes to the whole issue of transgenderism, I don't care what you do as an adult, keep it out of the schools. But even then, men do not need to be in women's locker rooms or their bathrooms. I don't care if you identify as a woman. That's a you issue. A we issue is we are here to protect our women, men. And then it comes to our government. Look, we're living in a time where the divides are deep. Let's take off the political jersey. I said it before. If you in your heart can accept that you could be wrong and want to learn from that, we can move on. We got to separate our pride. It's not left, it's not right, it's the truth. If we could seek the truth together and speak to it and debate and saying, well, wait a minute, if these are factual things that are happening, this is the truth, then let's get into it. And then we can really focus on proper governance for our society. Because the truth is, render to Caesar what is Caesar. But they need to work for us and let us live and prosper. We have a lot of challenge. Affordability is there. You have a lot of young people who are discouraged because they cannot get into the American dream. Our dollar needs to be strengthened. We need to focus on prosperity and how to do it. Because the other side of progressivism, they hit their wall too. And they want to push through even more government control, even more equitable solutions, where I would like to have the law applied equally so we can live and pursue our life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. They, on the progressive side, wants equal outcomes, that utopia. And it comes down to this, the moral core. Our Constitution was made only for moral and religious people. We need to wake up spiritually. Our minds need to go back to reason. I will argue that there is no reason today. But we could get there. Because the truth is, progressivism is not invincible. It's an idea that the only way that they control people is with the strong hand of a strong federal government and take away your rights to defend. But they will shoot if you don't bow down. Where we, and me, and you, speak to a higher calling that is righteous, and is pure, and it is good. Because under God, we are a beacon of the hill, on the hill, and we can live truly and peacefully. So progressivism is not invincible. We have our checks when awakenings happened in our country. Our founders were so astute. They saw this happening, and they gave us a playbook how to take back control when our government gets out of control. So, let's use the tools of what the Founding Fathers gave us. That's in Article 5. Let's repeal the 17th Amendment. Let's go back to our Bible and read and read and read and teach your children the principles. Take that responsibility on and do not let the schools fill their minds of their critical race theory. Just don't. Fight back and teach. Our cure is legal. It is moral. And it is already working. But it needs some help. It needs people to rise up and speak. The truth of the matter is, the only thing that it lacks is you to step up and say, no, we're not going down that path anymore. We're going this way. And our founders showed us the way. So, my friends, until next time, we have to remember, and I've been reading this passage over and over again, and it rings true. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I heal their land. God loves you, and I love you too.